Tell me your full name and spell it.
My name is Mollie M. Stewart, MOLLIE
And tell me your title.
Well, I'm a layperson in the United Methodist Church, certified lay speaker, but I'm also an officer in the General Church. I chair African American Heritage Center Board.
And tell me a little bit about your accomplishments, your involvements within the church.
Well, I guess you could say I started in the area of Toluca. We just talked about that a little bit. Toluca is a small community right on the Tennessee River in Morgan County. And the name came from an Indian maiden that committed suicide on the banks of the Tennessee River. And they named it the community after her. And then I started there, which is a small place. You either come in to see us or you're lost. It's just down in and down out. But from that small place and through the United Methodist Church and my parents, I made it to the top position in the United Methodist Church beside being a bishop. And I chaired the General Conference of the United Methodist Church, which set polity and makes the rules for the church every 4 years.
And tell me a little bit about what you're going to be sharing today. I see you have your Harriet Tubman.
How about my friend Harriet Tubman, who we know is associated and did the Underground Railroad. And because of a member of this church, George Baker, was going to present that today, I thought it'd be good to bring her along with me so she could hear his presentation. So I did that, but I'm going to be speaking from the title, Living on the Edge of Promises. Because from the time of our entering into America, we've always lived on the edges, Black people, and we've always been promised something that we've not ever received. We've done a lot of things, we've accomplished a lot, we've helped build America, we've built on the back of our people, but we will never cash the check, as Martin Luther King said. It's always come back insufficient.
And so what do you hope that the response is from your congregation today?
Well, I hope that they will remember some of the past, as some young people in, like Javon, who were not in this church when it had its real struggles, and all churches are struggling now at some point. But because of the spiritual foundation of the people, parents, foreparents, and the ministers who came out of these churches, we're strong people. And we know now that God is no respected person. You're part of our family, we're part of your family. We cannot live on an island because we have to live together.
And going back to what you're speaking on today, when you think back to when your people first came and to where we are now, then how do you feel this Huntsville is today, where in regards to Black history and honoring that?
Well, I think as a whole, Huntsville have been a very, very diverse area because of the businesses, the Redstone Arsenal, and Marshall Space Flight Center, and all of the people who come in. Our culture are more diverse than most small town cultures. I heard the mayor speak and said that this town now have grown to 195,000 people. And back in the day, I remember when downtown was a little square as it is now, but it had wooden sidewalks, and people parked their horses and their mules and wagons down where Big Spring Park is now. So it has progressed more than, I hate to say this, more than Decatur and Hartsville and the little towns around it. Huntsville have grown, and I think because of Warner Von Braun and all that brought to town. And then its culture began to grow and diverse a lot more and a lot more. And there are some very progressive people in Huntsville, Alabama, both white and Black.
And where do you hope to be in the future when it comes to racial equality?
I'm going to tell you, I shouldn't say this, but I'm 80 years old. And I hope to be, in the next 10 years, I hope to see more diversity. I hope to see more growth. If we have more growth, we'd have to move some mountains, I guess. But I really hope to see more of what's happening here in Huntsville become in the outer edges and around us, not just Huntsville. It's a pocket, but we need to expand this kind of concept everywhere.
And how do you think that can happen?
Through people like you, like me, like Javon, like our pastor, Reverend Wayman Smith, whom I come to speak today. I knew him when he was a little boy. Now I know him as a my pastor, because he's not my current pastor, but he's my pastor. He's a pastor of the United Methodist Church. And I respect him. I respect what he's doing with his people.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, we know that out of the United Methodist Church, we hear a lot about other churches and all, but Joe Lowry came from Lakeside United Methodist Church, and Joe went through the United Methodist Church, became district superintendent, became a leader, and then became a leader in the civil rights movement, and now still resides in Atlanta, Georgia. So there are a number of people I could name, but you don't have the time.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. So we talk about these amazing figures, like I think, of course, of Martin Luther King and stuff, but there are people everywhere who are breaking boundaries, who are overcoming obstacles, and it's important to remember that, right?
That is so correct. And in my mind today, I'm thinking about people out of this church who had a real influence on my personal life and where I am, because if they had not supported me as a youth, I wouldn't be here today probably.